Heyo, welcome back to the Undrafted and Unqualified Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Anthony. I'm here with Vinny. It's been a minute. It's been about a month. It's good to be back. We needed that break. We were both away, both busy. Within that time, there was some fantasy championships, so we got a lot to talk about today, and we will be back. I think we're gonna be back to weekly for the time being. So you missed us for a little bit, but we're back. So talking on the season too. I got a dub. I got the one in our league, the three-peat. So, that's a big
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting. Vinny, how'd you do?
Yeah, I was gonna say before I say that, I think we all fantasy players needed this little break right here. I mean, though championship weekend playoffs can be pretty brutal. People underestimate how much money is on the line in some of these leagues. Like,
Yeah.
hey, for college kids right out of college, a $500, $1,000 win league, like that's a good little payout right there. So it sounds funny to say fantasy football is stressful, but hey, it could put you through it sometimes, and like it feels good to come out on top. But yeah, congrats on the three-peat. That's a crazy feat in any fantasy football league.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was able to win one league. It was one of my dynasty leagues. Um, so a little different than redraft, but still feels just as good. And then I unfortunately was in another championship and I lost by zero point 0.7 points. So that one's still stinging with me, but you know, it's all right. At least I got one, but
Yeah.
wish I had, but it was a good year.
Couple good seasons though. We
Yep.
might have to change our name to Undrafted and Qualified.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah. Maybe,
know,
maybe. We need one more year, I
yeah,
think.
maybe next year if we get another one together
If
and
you get the four Pete, then
if
we
I
could
get
do
the
that.
four
Then
P, yeah, yeah. We'll change the name. But yeah, we're gonna, now that we're in the off season, we're gonna start recapping things. So today we're gonna do a couple awards. We are also going to kind of recap some of our takes prior to the season, see how we did, things like that. So before we get into that though, we do want to talk a little bit about the coaching carousel because that's always exciting. So going in this year, this is the news we'll break down for today. We'll just talk the coaching carousel. This news here: 10 teams need a new head coach.
wow.
Four have now been filled, excuse me, and those four are the Giants bringing in John Harbaugh, which let's just start right there. What do you think about
Yeah.
that?
I like it. I think it's a young team that like has a lot of pieces, especially on both ends, honestly, offensive and defensive end. Very just young, like pillars that you can build around. They got their quarterback. It seems like Jackson Dart is a guy that you can build around. And I just think coaching was kind of the weak spot for them these past with Dable these past four. How long has he was the coach? 3, 4 years?
I think three or four,
Yeah.
one of the two. Yeah.
Yeah, but like now you bring in a guy that has done it. He's won a Super Bowl. He's been a well-respected guy among the league, and he had Lamar Jackson. He was part of the buildup of Lamar Jackson. They drafted him, they developed him, so that's really exciting for Jackson Dart. But I love it. I don't know how you feel about it, but I love it.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think I'm going to be pretty bullish on the Giants next year because they
Yeah.
have all that talent on both sides of the ball. Jackson
Hmm.
Dart, huge news for him. But you got to
Yeah.
keep in mind too, they're going to get Cam Scatterbo back. They're going to get Malik Neighbors back, and maybe it won't be week one, but they'll get both of them back this season. That's big. Jackson Dart looked good with Mike Kafka, who was the interim head coach, and he was also throwing to Wandale Robinson as his number one, Darius Slayton as his number two. Then they had Theo Johnson. Like, these are not pieces you can really trust to have your
Hmm.
quarterback throwing to. So for him to produce with that, and now they bring in John Harbaugh, that defense, as you said too, there's a lot of talent there. Like, I think I'm
Hmm.
going to be bullish on this team as a whole. I know I'm going to be very, very high on Jackson Dart going into next year. And
Yeah.
there's a possibility also that there's talk Todd Monken might come over with John Harbaugh and be the offensive coordinator. So if you guys are unfamiliar, Todd Monken was the offensive coordinator for Harbaugh in Baltimore, and he's a pretty well respected guy as well. So that would also be huge news for the Giants offense and fantasy football players on that team.
Yep. Yeah, just a more serious feel about the team. Like you could take them seriously now, and it's crazy how much a coach can just change that. But Harbaugh's the guy, so
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, then the next one got filled. The Falcons hired Kevin Stefanski. There's a lot of names this time around where it's like, why are these guys getting fired? I know John Harbaugh. They just needed a change. They needed a change, and they decided to change the coach rather than Lamar Jackson. So you can't hate it. They needed to make a change, but John Harbaugh is a very coveted coach. Huge hire for the Giants. Stefanski's one of those too, where it's like it feels like they needed a change in Cleveland, but I think Stefanski's a great coach too. I think it's a great hire for the Falcons. I really didn't like the Raheem Morris hire a couple years ago, and clearly they didn't like how it panned out either. So I think that's a huge deal for Kevin Stefanski. He also already signed a DC. It was just the Falcons DC from last year, Jeff Ulbrich, but they re-signed him on a 3-year contract, and I think they had franchise record in sacks last year. So this Atlanta Falcons team is also on the rise, and I'm pretty excited about them too. The offense, I want to see who the quarterback's going to be. If they make any moves, if Penix comes back healthy, what's going to go on there? But pretty exciting for the team itself.
Yeah, I know. I think people forget that Stefanski's a two-time coach of the year.
Mhm.
And that's pretty rare when a guy like that kind of just falls into your lap. And I really think the only reason like the Browns like obviously were horrible last year, but they were had a couple competitive seasons under Stefanski. And I really think the only reason was because of him. Like Joe Flacco was the quarterback for one of those
Yeah.
teams. Like it was not great rosters. So I think, yeah, I completely agree. He's a great coach. And I think he kind of took a lot of heat for that whole Shadur situation, which I really think Shadur showed why he was third string on that roster. He really didn't look good at all in his
Yeah.
time. He had some, spots where he looked great, but I think Stefanski took a lot of heat for that, and people are still bitter about it. But I think it was a good move for him to get a change of scenery, and I think the Falcons got a good guy too.
Yeah, I think so as well. I'm pulling up here as we're speaking about. I'm trying to find a list where there is, just a list I can look at, like the coaching carousel tracker.
The vacancies and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, for like the other guys exactly. There is also, yeah, a couple GM moves as well, right? But
Well, I mean, while you look for that, I can bring
the
up
next
Salah.
the next head coach is exactly like the Titans brought in Robert Saleh, who former head coach for the Jets, didn't pan out, went back to be the defensive coordinator for the 49ers, and he looked good again. Honestly, I don't know if he's cut out to be a head coach. I just don't think this is an exciting move for the Titans. I think it could work. I think it could, but we really need to see who the offensive coordinator is going to be, and hopefully they can bring in more pieces on that offense to be exciting about. Every time we did the recap this year, it was Titans. All right, nobody to talk about next.
Yeah.
So let's hope there's going to be somebody to talk about next year. But
Yeah.
not my favorite move, but I also don't hate it because after a couple of the top guys like Harbaugh and Stefanski, it does feel very thin on who you could hire.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's interesting. I'm kind of I agree with you. I agree with you for the most part. I'm already seeing the comparisons on Twitter of like, when Salah went to the Jets, it was Zach Wilson, this young quarterback. He had the opportunity to try and develop. We obviously all know how that worked out. It didn't. And so I'm already seeing the stuff of like what's going to happen with Cam Ward. Is this a good fit for him? Your best players, a young quarterback. Why would you get a defensive minded coach? Like, and I honestly agree with it. I like really was this the best move early in this cycle as guys are also just starting to get fired. There's young offensive minds all across the league. I would have thought they'd just go with one of these offensive coordinators on a young up and coming offense that wants to be that could become a head coach. So we'll see how it goes. I don't really think fantasy wise this impacts much of the team because he is so defensive minded, but we got to watch that OC position. I think I saw some. I don't know how much truth there is to this, but McDaniel joining him as the OC
Oh.
in Tennessee. There's not confirmed or anything, but I've just seen some rumors of that could be a possibility. So if that's the case, then I think that's a little more exciting of a situation. But right now, doesn't move anything for many young Titans players, Cam Ward especially.
Yeah, I agree. And then the last head coach is Jeff Hafley, who was the Packers defensive coordinator, signed with the
Yeah.
Dolphins. Another situation where we need to watch the offensive coordinator. I'm honestly worried for this Dolphins offense heading into next year. Tua is probably not going to be the quarterback next year. That's one situation, but also I really like Mike McDaniel. I I think he is going to be I mean, he's already looked at a lot for offensive coordinator positions. A couple are bringing him in for a potential head coaching job. So I'm really excited to see where he ends up. I think he was a great coach. Yeah, I'm a little nervous for the Dolphins. Got to see who's going to be the OC there before we decide what to do there. But you're the Packers fan, so what do you think about Halfley though in general?
No, it shocked me that not only that they hired Hafley as a head coach, but the fact that they did it so early in the cycle. Like, there's so many names out there. Like, I, in the part with Hafley is a great defensive coordinator in Green Bay. He really made that defense work these past couple of years, or actually just last year. But yeah, it I don't know. It really worries me. He feels like a bust of a head coach right away, because of the fact that when he was at BC he wasn't good. They wasn't a good coach, and it shocked the league that the Packers brought him in to be the defensive coordinator. So that alone, like obviously it worked out to be a DC, but it feels like a bust. And like you said, for fantasy, this guy's a defensive minded coach. So we really got to watch that OC position. And that's what the Dolphins were known for is high powered offenses. And I mean, obviously your head coach sets the culture. So that switches things around when it's a defensive minded guy. So yeah, I don't like it at all. I think it's a horrible hire by the Dolphins. And not because of the fact that I don't think Hafley's capable, but it's just like I think that's too early of a move for him to make. I don't blame him, get the money, but
Yeah. Yeah, and he was looked at by a lot of teams. So
yeah,
he was he was around for that coaching process. I mean, it's interesting to me. Like I don't know why Halfley was so coveted, and the same thing with Jesse Minter, who I think is going to get a job. He's the defensive coordinator for the Chargers. I think he's going to get a job somewhere. He's been looked at by numerous teams. Has had multiple interviews with some teams. I don't understand it. Like I don't think the
yeah.
Chargers defense is that good. So
I think teams, if I was a GM, I'd just ask Sean McVay who his room coordinator is and just hire those guys because the only coaches that seem to work out are from McVay's coaching tree. So,
yep.
or McVay and Shanahan. So, I don't know.
Yeah, so some of the other positions that are still yet to be filled, the Bills, they fired Sean McDermott, who will be very coveted. They'll need someone. Mike Tomlin resigned, so the Steelers need someone. The Ravens need someone. The Cardinals, the Raiders, and the Browns all need somebody as well. Couple quick offensive coordinators. Eric Bieniemy back with the Chiefs. It seemed like Matt Nagy, who was the offensive coordinator there, was going to be the head coach for the Titans, and then surprise, Robert Saleh is the guy they signed. I do prefer Saleh, so neither one's very exciting though. But yeah, that one, I don't know. I think because it's Andy Reid, so who really cares? But Eric Bieniemy's been there before. He's won, I think, a couple championships with the Chiefs, so I don't hate it at all.
Yeah. No, and I also think maybe that's like looking into the future a little bit with Bieniemy is how much longer does Andy Reid have left? I mean, there were already people talking about him on the hot seat because of one bad Chiefs season. So look, I don't believe there's any truth to that, but you never know. Like I think that was always the case as he was blocked by Andy Reid. He was never gonna go higher than OC in Kansas City. So who
Right.
knows? I like the move though. I think maybe brings back some of these old Chiefs offenses that we love so much for fantasy, and we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah. Um, yeah, what else am I finding here? The other OC, the Lions. The Lions brought one in. They brought
Yep,
in Drew Petzing. So
the
he's coming
Cardinals.
from the Cardinals. I don't know about this one because they liked Mike McDaniel, and that feels like it would have been a dream fit. But
Yeah,
they said they didn't like the fit. They brought in Drew Petzing. We'll see. We'll see.
yeah,
I think there's a big opportunity for Petzing to be very good here. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't think the Cardinals offense was all that good this year, so we'll
yeah.
have to wait and find out.
I mean, he made Jacoby Brissett look like a fantasy stud, I guess, but it didn't turn into any wins or like productive like games on the offensive end. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see, but that when you go into that team with those weapons, I don't know. They can kind of make anyone look good.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there's some very coveted offensive coordinator positions out there too. The Lions were
yeah,
one. You have the Buccaneers. You have the Eagles, the
yeah,
Chargers. The Chiefs were one, but they signed Bieniemy too. So there's a couple out there still. Potentially Dayball over the Eagles. So we'll keep an eye on. We'll bring up some more stuff in the next episode, but I think that'll
yeah,
be a nice place to wrap the coaching carousel. So, like I said, we'll do awards today. So, exciting season. Let's just hop into some awards. We have four awards we're going to talk about with y'all. So, the first award we're going to talk about is obviously got to be the MVP. So, the MVP of this season for me is Christian McCaffrey. He was just so good. And he was, it was like, oh, Jonathan Taylor, Bijan Robinson, Christian McCaffrey. These are the top three guys. And by the end of the season, it looks like Christian McCaffrey cleared them. And it looks like he cleared everybody. He cleared the receivers. He was just different. He had a great season for a wide receiver. Then you add all the rushing stats to it. So,
yeah,
when you compare that, there's just nobody like McCaffrey. And as we said, when he's healthy, he finishes as a top two guy every single year. And at the running back position, that's a huge deal because of how deep of a position it is. So Christian McCaffrey to me, there was I think one game in single digits. He has to be the MVP to me.
yeah. I mean, that's definitely my pick as well. I'll mention a couple other names after, but just to continue on with that, I think the obviously there's Puka and JSN as other candidates that like studs that brought you to championships and won you championships. But the fact that C-Mac was hurt there all of last year, and then he had that late first round tag because people didn't want to get burned again, which I don't blame you. But then he comes out and has this season and rewards people. Like that's the definition of like an MVP from a fantasy perspective. You took a chance on a guy and it paid off in a million X what you thought it would be. So, yeah, completely agree. But I mean, Puka and JSN, they definitely have a case too. Wide receiver one and two, respectively. So I mean, those guys too. The JSN had a third round tag. Puka was a late round, first round where McCaffrey was going in a lot of cases. So, I mean, yeah, those three names, I think. But for if I had to pick one, it would be McCaffrey for me as well.
Yeah, I think Bijan's another name, and then if you want to round it out with a nice even five, it's gonna be Trey McBride for me too, because he just cleared the tight end
Yep.
position by so much. He was like top 10 in receiving yards in the league. That includes all receivers. He was top 10 in receptions, touchdown. Like he was just so good. It was like having a top five wide receiver on your team at the tight end position. So I think Trey
Yeah.
McBride is another name just to mention there.
I think that's a good way to look at it is like the gap between the second best option. I was just looking at it. Trey McBride had six more points per game fantasy wise bet compared to the second best option. And then McCaffrey in a loaded running back room, there was I think five guys who averaged over 21 points per game. McCaffrey averaged three more than Bijan, who was second. So like that's crazy. Like that's just MVP stuff. Yeah.
Yep. The Rookie of the Year, our second award. For me, it's going to be Travion Henderson. Yeah, I know we had a really slow start for this guy, and we'll talk about him a little later too, because we're going to recap our predictions and stuff from before the season. But Travion, it feels like it was a late breakout, but he was just so good when he finally did break out, and he was a rock solid RB2 the rest of the way. So I know the Patriots still love that committee. They've been using a lot of Ramondre Stevenson through the playoffs. But for fantasy purposes, Travion Henderson was almost borderline elite, and I want to give him that award there.
Yeah, it's tough for me to like give a just because the first 10 weeks were so brutal. But I see what you mean. Like if you got to the playoffs, he helped you out in a big way. And to maybe get to the playoffs if your team was struggling in the beginning of the year. So yeah, but it just hurts. It still stings because I thought he could be so much better as a rookie. I
Yep.
think we both did, obviously. But for my rookie of the year, I'm gonna go Jackson Dart. I think he started week 4 of the regular season. He only played in 12 games because he was hurt for a few others. But in that span, he averaged 22 point, or let me see, I have 22.7 points per game. Um, which it puts him in an elite category of like top 6 weekly play. His only dud came in week 1 of the playoffs. So he probably burned a lot of people, but you had to go play him regardless of you couldn't expect something like that, but you had to play him because he deserved it. He really was in that upper echelon of top 6 plays on a weekly basis. He was really matchup proof. He went up against some good defenses and produced. So in my mind, that was a waiver wire at the beginning of the year, obviously. Um, and he went out and really won a lot of people years if championships if you could get past that 1 point week or the in the first round of the playoffs. But yeah, it's gonna be Jackson Dart for me.
Yeah, his overall points per game are deflated heavily because week 2 and 3 he technically got on the field, and over the
Oh,
span of those 2 weeks had a total of 0 points. And then he had that .02 stinker in week 16 against Minnesota. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, outside of that, like he was pretty elite, and even with that, he still averaged 17 points per game, and finished as the overall QB 13. So
yep.
yeah, I like that call as well. The bust of the year, the stinker award. I'm going with Brian Thomas Jr. He just it never panned out for him. Like if we take a look here, let me pull him up. If we pull up Brian Thomas Jr., he finished at 42, averaged less than 10 PPR points a game. And this guy was going in, some people were taking him in the late first. He felt like a early second, but that's way too high to take a guy who's didn't finish the year averaging 10 points a game. So, you had 9, 9, 7, 10, 12, 23. Okay, maybe he's back. 6, 8, missed 3 games.
Yep.
And it was 2 more double digit games in the last 6 weeks. So
Yep.
to me, he's the biggest bust of the year. Liam Cohen has also stated that he wants to continue to spread the ball, which is bad news for Brian Thomas heading into next year. The talent is all there, and I understand why we were bought in, but to me, it's just that's gonna be the bust of the year, unfortunately.
Yeah, no question. I mean, he's the clear front runner. I'll bring up another name, but yeah, I mean, just brutal year. The fact that he was going in the back end of the first round, like he was going around the same spot of where you're taking McCaffrey and Puka. And the fact that, so I mean, yeah, that loses a fantasy season right there with your first round pick producing a season like that. But
Yep.
just to say another name, I think it's a worthy bust pick is Justin Jefferson. I mean, he really, when you look back at his stats, he really didn't ever put together like a massive game. I don't think he ever put a game over 25 points, which is like what we got to expect with him on a regular basis, weekly basis. And so the fact that his second half of the year he was putting up less than 10 almost every week, and you really couldn't put him in a lineup because of how bad the quarterback play was, or just not getting him involved in the offense. It was brutal. And so Brian Thomas, at least, all right, it was a second year slump, but Jettas is a staple. He's a number 1 pick. Like that was just for me owning him in a league. It was just such a hard decision every week to just do I play him or not. But yeah, Brian Thomas is the obvious choice I agree with, but just to mention another guy, it's got to be Jefferson.
Yep. Yeah, unfortunately not quarterback proof. In weeks 10 through 17, he had 2 games where he put up double digits, and the best one was 14 points. So I completely agree with that. Unfortunate year. Hopefully it's not JJ again, because I do not know what we're gonna do with Justin Jefferson if
Yeah,
JJ McCarthy is the quarterback again next year. But
I think he will be, unfortunately, but that's my opinion, but I don't
I
want him
think
to.
so too. And then the value pick of the year, I'm going George Pickens. There's a lot of good names here you could go with for the values, but I'm going George Pickens. He was a fifth, sixth round pick, and this guy finished as the wide receiver 4 on the year. It was an unbelievable year. if you had him, you enjoyed the ride all the way through. There were like two bad weeks towards the end of the year, but other than that, he was elite of elite could get, and it was awesome to have him this year.
Yeah, no, Pickens was a beast. And I was a hater of his, not a hater, but I was a doubter of his for many weeks when CD was hurt. So yeah,
Yeah,
definitely deserves his respect. Just to say his name again, because he might have gotten snubbed from the MVP conversation, but I'm gonna go with JSN as the value of the year for me. Third, fourth round price tag is still pretty. It's high up there. It's not a cheap price, but still to get the wide receiver 2 overall who led the league in receiving, monster year. I mean, that doesn't come around often. So that's a crazy value. Won you leagues. Yeah, just to say his name again, he deserves it. So yeah, great year for JSN.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, when it's a third rounder and you could have Christian McCaffrey on top of that, plus Trey McBride, like,
Yeah,
yeah,
seriously.
that's a value. Um,
Yeah,
Yeah, a couple other quick names to mention: Travis Etienne, Javonte Williams, Drake May, Matthew Stafford, Trevor Lawrence, even. So those are some other names I'd bring up.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, let's just start talking. We'll go recap some of the stuff we had, maybe some of the bigger awards. We'll hold on, scroll all the way down in our document here, and yeah, we'll see if we did anything well. We started by doing rookies. What did we think of the landing spots, really? Um, and you had a good one. You liked Jackson Dart's landing spot, so I liked that. Um, yeah, I guess that's kind of a big one there. You hit on
I
Tet McMillan. You like that one, so I like that as well. Yeah, I guess you could give me credit for not liking Matthew Golden's spot, and that one didn't pan out. So maybe
yeah.
that's a good one there. But yeah, that not much there at the rookies.
I think we did better with our predictions, our hot takes for rookies. I think we did
Let's
better
see.
on.
Yeah, so Vinny's hot take number one was Travis Hunter doesn't finish as a top 24 wide receiver, and he nailed that. That was a great take.
I
Um,
don't know how much like that wasn't very. I don't know how much of a hot take that was. But I think just like the rookie wide receiver landscape had been so high up these past
yep.
few years of guys just finishing the top five, top 10.
Yep.
But yeah, I guess you could give me a hit on that. But
Yeah,
I guess I don't know how
I'll give you
ambitious
I'll
that
give you the
was.
hit.
Yeah.
Take number two, Marion Hampton is borderline RB1. I think just injury, it's almost like we can give it an NA because we
Yes.
don't know where he would have finished, but he was acting like one when he was on the field. So,
Before we did. Yeah.
yeah. So we'll give you an NA there. So not a miss, but not a hit either. And then
Yep.
number three, Ashton Genty becomes the first rookie running back to
Mm,
surpass 1,200 yards
no.
since,
Safe.
uh, yeah, Saquon. How many did he have? He didn't even hit a thousand.
No,
He had
finished below 1,000.
975.
Yep.
But
So that's a miss.
that's a miss, but Genty was still pretty nice.
Yeah.
Then let's take a look here. My takes. I said R.J. Harvey finishes a top 12 running back. He did not, but let's see just exactly where he finished. He didn't get the opportunity like we thought. He finished at 20. This was also before Dobbins signed there, so tough
I,
take.
Honestly, all things considered, 20, like had a similar path to Travion where they both heated up. Like, especially
Yeah,
fantasy playoffs for Harvey. He won me a league. Like, he scored 20 in the championship. Like, if you got there, he paid off. So,
yeah, yeah,
not
for
too
sure.
far off, but not top 12.
Yeah, my second take was Jackson Dart will be the Giants starting QB by week 10. He started in week
And
4.
yeah,
So, that's a big hit for me. Big hit right
yeah,
there.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I like that. And then I'm pretty sure I whiffed pretty poorly on this one, but I said no rookie tight ends would finish in the top 10, and I gave reasons as to why for each. Well, it turns out two finished in the
Wait,
top 10.
really? Did Warren not?
No, Loveland did not.
Oh, Loveland didn't. Okay.
Loveland finished outside because he just he popped off too late, and then I think week 18 doesn't count. So even though he was really good week 18, it
Doesn't count.
couldn't
Okay.
add up in time. So
Yeah.
yeah, the two guys that were in was Warren, who finished at 4, and Harold Fannin, who finished at 6. So I missed on that take, but you know, taking shots. That's why we do hot takes.
Exactly.
But hey, not too bad. We both got a couple hits there. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's see.
We were locked in on the rookies right there.
What was
We had a good eye.
were these our value picks? Let's see how we did. We'll just buzz through these. I had Dak Prescott. Absolutely.
Mhm.
I had Tony Pollard at running back. Nope. Juwan Jennings at receiver. Nah. I mean, he had a good end of the season, it felt, but I don't think he was a true value. Oh,
Mhm.
shit. I just lost it. And then, oh no. What page was I on? I did see Evan Engram. So Evan Engram was my tight end. That was certainly not a value. He was terrible. And then Vinny. So what did I go? 1 for 4 there? All right,
Yeah,
I'll
it
take
seems
it.
like it.
Your quarterback was Justin Herbert, absolutely. So hit there. Chuba Hubbard at running back, and nope. So we both whiffed on the running back. You
No.
said Xavier Worthy, which is another big miss. But
Nope.
I'll give you Tucker Kraft. He was elite before that injury. So two
Yep.
for four, 2 for 4 there.
All right.
Not too bad. I'm enjoying this. This
We
is
learned our lesson. We'll
yeah,
see.
this is pretty entertaining right here.
Yeah.
Let's see what is this? Our bust picks.
This
I
shit.
said Patrick Mahomes. He was. I won't give myself that because he finished at QB 11, but the injury. If it wasn't for the injury, I think he would have finished higher because he was pretty elite. A lot of running the
Yeah,
ball
he had
this
a good
year.
year.
So
Yep.
um, I said Jameer would be a bust. Where did he finish? Jeez, he finished at 3, so he wasn't a bust. He was actually well valued.
Well, yeah, bust in values. I
Yeah,
guess I think that you took a shot on that one. I think afterwards we talked about it, like you maybe were like, I don't know if I should have done that. But like it
yeah,
was bust
yeah.
in value. Not you didn't think Jameer was gonna fall
Oh
off the
yeah,
face
no,
of the earth.
definitely not. Definitely
Yeah,
not. I just thought like the value it was too high.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Wow, I said Roma Dunze was going to be a bust. Well, it turns out he was towards the end of the year.
yeah.
So but I won't take credit for that because he was so elite to start. And then I had Mark Andrews being a bust. Which where did Andrews finish? I think I hit on that one. Yeah, Andrews finished at 16. So that I'll give myself a 1 for 4. All right, Vinny. Baker being a bust, great call. It just felt like it had to be a perfect year for Baker to hit at where he
Again,
was
yeah.
going. So that's a hit right there. Joe Mixon, great call. This was before we even knew the injury would linger. Turns out he didn't even play. So Joe Mixon, 2 for 2 so far.
That's an easy one right there.
Yeah,
No,
wide
don't worry.
receiver. I know we were both big on this being a bust wide receiver. It was
Yeah,
Terry
yeah.
McLaurin, and he barely played. So 3 for 3, and we're gonna have a 4 for 4 here for Vinny because his tight end bust was Jonnu Smith, who at the time when we did this episode, by the way, he was still a Dolphin. So you
Yes.
got lucky too with the trade to Pittsburgh where he just like lost all his value. But
Yes. No,
yeah, hey, 4 for 4. That's pretty damn good.
it's also crazier to think back on how much ADP, like in like positioning changes of like, for example, Baker was QB7 at the time of making this take. Joe
Yep.
Mixon was RB17 at the time of making this
Yep.
take. McLaurin was wide receiver 15, and Johnny was tight end 8. Like
Yep.
you might be thinking, oh, that's easy, but like a lot of these names that we're calling out are like were top picks in a lot of drafts for
Yeah.
at that time. So obviously stuff changes, but yeah, all right, there we go. We did better on that one.
Yeah, yeah. You did better. I did the same. Uh, Sleepers. All right. I said quick mention of JJ McCarthy. Awful. Bryce Young was my pick, and he was not a sleeper. So that's not a hit. Ramondre Stevenson, where did he finish? Because he did have a good end to the year.
Yeah,
Let's see.
you
Let's see.
were pretty spot on
He
with that.
finished at 25. So he was RB 39 in ADP at the time of this recording. He finished at RB 25. So I will
That was
take a
good.
hit.
Oh
I'll
yeah,
take a hit on that one. I had Trey Harris, and this was before they brought back Keenan Allen, so whiffed on that.
that's
And then I had Zach Ertz, who I'm pretty sure was pretty good until the injury. He finished higher with the
Then
injury than his ADP. So
okay,
I'll take the hit on that one. I'll take the
sure.
hit. Two
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
two
Take
for
it.
four. Two for four.
Yep.
Um, Vinny, you had Gino. Gino, where did you finish?
No way he finished above 25. All right, he
He
must have
did.
actually.
He finished at 24.
All right, so I don't think I could take that though,
Yeah,
because
I don't think
no,
so
that's not
either.
it.
But
No,
uh,
no.
Rashad White was your running back. I was big with you on that take, but no, can't count that.
He had a little span when Bucky was out, but not enough. You can't
Yeah,
count it.
yeah, yeah. I think it was injury as to why
Yeah,
it worked
yeah,
out for
yeah.
him. Marvin Mims, I loved that one too, but it didn't pan out.
No,
And then Brenton Strange, I think I'd be all right. Where did Strange finish at 23 versus 19 was his ADP, but he also missed a chunk of the year. Um, could call that an
no. I
NA.
think that's an 0 for 4 right
0 for,
there.
0 for 4, damn. All right, well, at least I
Sleepers are
got a
tough.
couple. I got a couple there. So not terrible, not terrible. Let's see, what else did we have where we could go over? Yeah, how did our stacks do? Um,
I mean, I don't know if there's a stat to like track how they did, but just overall,
yeah,
like,
just overall. So like I had Kyler and Trey McBride. Turns out the stack was correct if I switched the quarterback to Jacoby Brissett. And then that would have been a great stack. But
yeah,
yeah, I guess that was like a half hit on that one. Dak to CD almost feels like a half hit because it was Pickens a lot too. But Dak was so good as well. I think you could count that. And oh my God, this was a horrible call. Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson, absolutely awful, terrible stack. I hope you didn't draft. Vinny, you had
yeah. I mean, hey, this one right here coming up for me is not much better. I mean, it helps with Herbert, but Herbert and McConkey,
Herbert and
Lad never really
McConkey.
panned out this year. And then Hurts and AJ Brown. That was a rough one for a good part
Yeah,
of the year too. Then it kind of heated up in the second half, and then Goff and Amon Ra. I think that's a hit. But that one was stacks are easy, like for the most part. And then unless you pick Garrett Wilson, Justin Fields, but other than that, they're tough or they're easy. I feel like to just kind of all right, the best receiver and quarterback duos are going to do well. But
yeah. Yeah, and then we had our rankings. That's going to be kind of tough to go over here. Um, we broke them up. Was that our hot takes? It was. Okay. My first hot take was Devon Achane goes for 90 plus receptions on his way to a RB1 overall finish. I don't know what his final line was in terms of receptions, but I know it wasn't that much.
I can get it right here. Let me see.
Yeah, pull
Uh,
that up. But he didn't finish RB1 overall, so didn't hit
he had
anyways.
67 receptions.
Okay. That was an extremely hot take. Didn't hit, but hey, I like it. Jordan Mason takes over the Vikings backfield, finishes as top 15 running back on the year. Didn't work out. And I had Egbuka is the Bucks' best wide receiver in fantasy football this year and finishes top 20. I don't think he finished top 20 because of the horrible ending to the year. Yeah, he finished right outside 23, but he was in fact the best Bucks receiver for fantasy football. So like a
Yep.
half hit on that.
Yep.
Yeah, Vinny, if you want to do yours, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking through these. Wow, all right, not great. But Chase Brown, my first one was Chase Brown finishes as a top three RB in PPR formats. So when Burrow went down, it was a brutal
It was
stretch.
close.
But I would be surprised to look at what in that span of what was it, weeks like 11 to 17 or where he
Yeah.
just popped off. I'd be curious of like who was a better running back than him during that span. Like probably McCaffrey, Achan, Bijan, but like I don't know, maybe he snuck
Yeah.
into the top five, but miss overall for sure because he didn't come close to top three or even top 10.
He was top 7 on the year.
What?
He was 7 on the year.
Oh wow.
He
That's
popped
shocking.
he popped off well at the end of the year where he finished right around his ADP. So
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
it was just such a bad start where it took him until let's see here. It took him until week really it took until like week 8 for him to start doing anything. And then week
Yeah.
8 on, he had no less than 15 points in a game. So,
Wow. I
yeah.
I thought that bad stretch went on for much longer into the second half, but okay.
No, it
All
was
right.
like as soon as Flacco got there, he started popping off. So, yeah, he finished as the number 7 overall. So, not, you missed, but it wasn't a bad take at all.
Okay. All right. Close enough, but I think we still count it as a myth. And then Burrow has a historic season and finished as
Oh,
QB1 overall. Obviously a miss. Injury got in the way of that.
yep.
But
Oh,
so that's
another
a
one
tough one.
too.
And then, yeah, injury. Another one got me here is Malik Neighbors finishes as the wide receiver one overall. It sucks because we really never know what would have happened. But miss there because of injury as well. But I like both those guys going into next year, so maybe I'll run back the take when they're fully healthy. I don't know.
Yep. Yeah. There's more rankings here. Are my guys.
Mm,
How did we do? These were like we put our chips in. So
yeah.
how did we do? And this was it. This is the last thing we'll recap here before calling it an episode. But this was big. My first one was Dak Prescott, and I think that's back-to-back years for me doing it with the quarterback. I had Burrow coming off the injury heading into last year, hit big, and I attributed a lot of that to why I was taking Dak as mine, right? Because he was going off the board as the QB 12, finished as QB 6 on the year. So that's a big hit. I'm happy I put my chips in on him. I didn't get him in either one of my leagues, but I guess other people were bullish too. They knew. They knew. But yeah, Dak was a great call there. Very happy with that one. My second, my guy was DK Metcalf. That's a miss. It just the targets, the receptions were just not there. He didn't even get 100 targets. He finished with 99 targets. So he had 59 receptions, 850 yards, and 6 touchdowns. So yeah, absolute miss. That's what I was going off of. Was like he's the only guy there. The targets have to go to him, and it just didn't work out
Yep.
that way. So I whiffed on DK. And then my third was Tyler Warren, who he finished as the tight end 4 overall, but that latter half of the year was pretty rough. Like I mean, I'll give it to myself just because of the finish, but at the end of the day, like looking at that, he finished a lot higher than where he was being drafted as the tight end 10, but
Mhm.
it's not like I'm like, "Oh, yes, clap it up." Like I nailed that pick just because of how bad he was towards the end of the year. But I mean, regardless, it was definitely a good pick in general. So,
No, yeah, two
maybe
for
I'll give
three.
myself like 1.5 out of 3. Um,
Well, I think for the tight end position, like that's a good year.
sure,
So like,
sure.
but I think you could give yourself 2 out of 3 there.
Sure, sure. If you really want
Um,
to go there. Yeah.
but yeah, I'll get my first one was Travion Henderson.
Yep.
You know, again, like I'll loop both of my second was also RJ Harvey. It was very similar seasons for these guys, where like this is kind of the rookie running back formula we know can happen, but I really thought these guys would be different and gain those major roles earlier on in the season. The good part is I'm gonna count them as both misses in terms of like my guys, I think.
Hmm.
Uh, but we know what they're capable of, and a lot of people are going to be high on them again, myself included, next year. I think they both have very clear roles of like what they could see a tick up in. So misses for this year in terms of like my guys of guys that like these capital Travion got up to like the fourth round ADP post with the preseason and all that.
He was really
So
high.
yeah, miss in terms of the ADP. But my last guy here is AJ Brown. It's got to be a miss as well. I mean, he did kind of put together an okay season after a brutal start. He finished as the wide receiver 11, but that was his ADP. He was wide receiver 10, 11. So I really picked him as a my guy to like get back into the upper echelon of like top 4 or 5 receiver in the league, finish in fantasy wise. So he didn't do that. So that's a miss as well. But he did put together a decent year in terms of bouncing back after those brutal first 3 weeks. So
Yeah, I'm looking at his overall game log right now. It really looks bad because of weeks 1 through 5. He had 1, 7, 22, 2, and then 9. So it was like
Yeah,
it's rough. But then from there on out, he only had one single digit game. So yeah, I mean, maybe it's not a true like my guy like he stood out above the rest, but like
yeah,
you put your chips on him and he panned out where you drafted him at the end of the day.
yeah,
So like
yeah.
you could count that. And then I think honestly, RJ Harvey and Travion, you were just early on because they did look exactly how you wanted them to. It just
I
didn't
know.
start until, a certain number of weeks into the season. So, yeah, not bad takes at all. You put your chips in hoping they'd get it early, and it just took some time.
Yeah, I think I got rookie fever. I was ready for some breakouts like we saw with BTJ, Malik Neighbors, Lad, to just some guys take over fantasy. But we really didn't see that with a rookie this year.
Right. Yeah.
Like besides Dart, I guess is the closest one in terms of like positional value. But
Yeah, I mean, even still, like Scadaboo was really good when he was healthy, but
yeah, that's true.
other than that, there was a lot of up and down, and nothing that really stood tall above the rest.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, that was a lot of fun to do, like going over how did he
yeah,
do,
yeah.
and
I forgot about a lot of those. Yeah,
yeah,
that was cool.
yeah, me too. We definitely had some whiffs. I like doing the values and stuff too. That was good. Um, but yeah, I think. I think it would be fun to keep doing as see how we do. Check in on our stats because it's fun to
Exactly.
do. We got to give ourselves some credit. Got to
Yeah.
also see why we're undrafted and unqualified too. So
Yeah, we
I
know a
don't know.
little. Yeah.
Based on our takes, I don't know how we won championships, but hey, like
Well,
we'll take it. We'll take it.
exactly. Hey, you can't hit them all. I'd be curious because, like, listen, a lot of these takes were like consensus across fantasy football. Like,
Yeah.
everyone thought Terry McLaurin was going to be bad. Everyone, like it was just kind of these things that, like, oh, but then that's what you got to look beyond that sometimes. Like, all right, what is everyone missing? Because it's not going to pan out what all these
Yep.
Instagram, Twitter analysts are saying is going to happen, like what we're going to say is going to happen. So, I think next year that's the goal. Look beyond like the obvious stuff that people are saying.
Yeah, yeah. So that'll end our episode for today. Yeah, hopefully more episodes will be like this around that 45, 50 minute mark. We don't want to go too crazy like we were doing in season. I'll still get out a couple timestamps too, so you know, easier for listening. And we have the next four planned as well. We're just kind of gonna go position by position. We're gonna do basically the top 10. We'll name them all at each position. So next week we'll start with the quarterbacks, and we'll talk about each of the guys if they need talking about, and then what we kind of think of heading into the following season. How was this season? If there's anybody outside the top 10 that might need to get talked about too, maybe they missed a lot of games and they need to get talked about, or maybe they missed a lot of games and were producing in the few games they did play, something like that. So yeah, we'll be talking basically position by position and kind of recapping the top 10 plus a couple other names heading in, to this offseason. Just thoughts to think about, and then we'll go from there. So we have the next four planned, and yeah, that'll do it for today's episode. If anything, Vinny, anything to add?
Nope. Excited to kind of go through those rankings, and especially my favorite part is going to be to looking towards next year already of
Yeah,
like where is this guy going to be next year? So that'll be fun.
for sure. All right, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Good to be back. We'll see y'all in the next episode. Peace.